What's up everybody and welcome back. So I have another fantastic recommendation for you today, and I know I say that every time. It's cause it's true every time. And today is no exception, because today I'm recommending On the Balcony Again Today, which is being written by Issei Itokawa, and so far it's 42 chapters, and it's a comedy romance seinen slice of life. And it's not based on anything. This isn't a light novel adaptation. This isn't a web novel. This is just a straight up fantastic manga. So far, it's incredible. I love it so much. And to me, it's nearly perfect, but stay till the end and I'll get into light spoilers and why it's not completely perfect. It's nothing big, but some of you might want to be aware of it because it might annoy some of you. For me, I love it despite its flaws. So On the Balcony Again Today is about Tokita Shun, who's 32 years old and he's a freelance designer. And he gets a new neighbor, Narumi Yu, who's a 25-year-old actress who moves in next door. And she moves in because she flooded her old apartment somehow, don't know how, but the two hit it off when Narumi notices Tokita's veranda garden and accidentally snaps off a flower and returns it with a note apologizing and complimenting Tokita on his garden. And I know that the title is On the Balcony Again, but the translators use veranda, so I'm just gonna say veranda, but the title is balcony. I'm hoping I'm not confusing anybody, but I'm gonna use veranda because the translation has veranda, so I'm just sticking with that. But from this first little incident, their relationship begins as the two start talking and Tokita starts sharing stuff from his garden with Narumi, who in turn and down the line starts sharing stuff with him that she gets from filming. Through this, they bond over gardening and their shared love for the feeling of an oasis that their verandas provide them. On top of that, Tokita begins to teach Narumi how to garden, and they begin gardening the same plants as their relationship begins to grow like what they planted. And I can't express just how heartwarming and endearing this manga is. I mean, it's all the best feels so far. I honestly love it so much, just from the fact that they're both adults. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy a good high school romance, which that sounds wrong, but there's something refreshing about a romance story between adults that also sounds wrong too. But if you read manga, you watch anime, you know what I mean. They're both adults, and it's nice. The veranda separating them, honestly, at first may seem like a gimmick, but it's actually a really nice touch because it keeps who they are a mystery for a time, while also allowing them to speak more freely and openly than they would if they were in public. It's one of those, if they met any other way, they wouldn't have a relationship type situation. And I say that not because like Tokita's a loser or something and she would be like the popular gal at school. I say that because they're both adults. They would both go about their business and go their separate ways. So they wouldn't really have a chance to build any kind of relationship or friendship because they would just be two passing people on the street. But the veranda allows them to actually start forming a relationship, and it allows them to have a more free relationship because they feel like they can speak more easily because they can't see each other, right? So I guess it's one of those things where you text better than you talk in person. So it's kind of like a little bit of Love is Blind feel, which makes for a really interesting story and take on what otherwise would be a run-of-the-mill grown-up romance where I guess they would have to meet some other way, I don't know, but they just would, and it would just be a run-of-the-mill kind of we met, we like each other. The veranda actually makes it special. Like, for example, communication is hard for them, not like they don't know how to talk to each other, but in finding time to. They kind of have to run into each other on the veranda for them to be able to talk, because outside of that, they're working. Also, I almost forgot this part, but this manga also teaches you how to garden and literally breaks down how each plant Tokita is gardening grows and what they need to grow from planting depth to watering schedule. But it doesn't just do that with the gardening. It does that with the meals that are prepared, and even does it with chair styles because Narumi was looking to get one for her veranda, and it does has the complete breakdown of the chairs. This manga literally has it all. And it's one of the things that also make it so unique and so fantastic. It's not just a romance. It's kind of a Love is Blind-ish romance mixed with, if you want to learn how to do some gardening, I'm not saying you shouldn't just get a book or watch a YouTube video on it, but this could be inspirational for something like that. So both Tokita and Narumi are fantastic characters, and they're both written like real adults. Takumi is a freelance designer and a stickler for perfection, not in an annoying glasses serious character way, but in a realistic kind of laid back way. He is a laid back character, but he knows how to be serious when he needs to be serious, and he knows how to work when he needs to work, versus like the glasses vice president character that you've probably seen, who's just a stickler for perfection but also just a stick in the mud. That is not Tokita. Narumi, on the other hand, is an energetic, slightly clumsy, but very hopeful person. She's not a gal or a modern clone. She's not an One-san or an Emoto character. She's just a really well-written young woman who develops a love for gardening because of Takumi. They're both fantastic, and there's no real character trope that I can categorize them as because they're written more like real people than trope characters, like how Tokita gets jealous and doesn't know how to deal with Narumi acting at times in the sense of being around another guy because they don't have a relationship outside of their friendship, but they have a special relationship through the veranda and through the fact that they have to keep their relationship secret so that it doesn't seem like anything scandalous is going on with Narumi at this real start of her career. And I'm not saying like he gets like defensive jealous, but he gets a little jealous because he's like, I'm talking to this girl, but then she's going off and she's having to act and be in commercials with really one main other guy. Not to say that he's like in opposition, because he's not, but he feels a little type of way because they have a special relationship, even if they can't publicly have a special relationship. But it's little pieces like that that make the characters feel real. So my hopes with this manga are simple. I want it to keep going as it's going, but with a little uptick in development, and this is where I get into at least two things that make it imperfect for me. First, you have to wait until chapter 12 for them to finally meet, which isn't too long to wait, but it means at least in this way, you just have to get through the first 11 chapters. I don't mean that like it's a slog to get through, because we get a more in-depth character introduction, but to me, it's like the progress towards a relationship doesn't start till then, because until then, Narumi is a mystery to him, while after seeing her, he knows she's an actress, and the layers to their relationship and its development really start coming into play. And second is that after they meet, they still call each other neighbor-san, even though at least Tokita knows Narumi's name, but they don't start using each other's actual names until chapter 19, which is really slow. And another thing you'll just have to get through. It is kind of endearing though, but I think it took too long for that to happen, but that also doesn't last because they start calling each other neighbor-san again in the same chapter. Even though I know it's cultural, that overly cautious nature of trying to keep the fact that he knows who she is a secret so that it doesn't get misinterpreted as some other kind of relationship, it does still get tiring. Mostly because I feel like it slows the advancement of their inevitable relationship and will lead to sections where it feels drawn out as they face hurdles like using each other's names that they could have and should have gotten through earlier. Because at times, even though their relationship is obviously moving forward, they do things that seem like they would move it backwards, like not using each other's names, making veranda rules, which are really rules for their relationship, and then communicating through letters they leave on each other's verandas, all of which are written in a way that's really endearing, but a little stifling to their development. But at the same time, it isn't. I don't know how to explain it. I would just prefer kind of a concrete progress, but man, it's all so feels generating that I love it anyway. But I feel like I have to point it out because it may annoy others, but this manga is just so cute and you should check it out anyway, because honestly, those are really the only two things that are kind of a little annoying annoying to me, but they're not detriments to the overall story, which this is just a fantastic overall adult relationship story. I mean, it's hard to explain. It's one of those that you just have to read and experience and feel, because I can say it's fantastic, I can say it's cute, I can say it's adorable, but you're not going to feel it until you start reading it, which you all should, because all in all, this manga is fantastic. It's an easy 5 out of 5 for me. I love it and can't wait for more. I'm still catching up. I'm only on chapter 22 of 42 so far, so I'm still catching up, but it's just such a refreshing romance slice of life that easily makes a single guy envious, but I can't get enough. The chapter releases were going nice and steady, but there hasn't been a new chapter release since July of this year. Hopefully it's just kind of like a break or a hiatus, and it'll go back to a chapter or 2 a month. But as of now, if you catch up, you may just have to wait. But regardless of that, if this seems interesting to you, check it out and like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you want more recommendations, the Why You Should playlist is linked in the description box as always, same as the podcast and merch. Other than that, I will see all of you in the next one.